Yeah. All right. I know I said it like that. That's just weird.
Welcome to Stargazing, a Stargate gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG1 and Atlantis.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Fine, how are you?
It's going okay.
Excellent.
How's your day?
Okay. Just did lots of work, and that's about it.
Yay.
And then tried to get some exercise in, but the watch that I was tracking it with died, and then I was angry. And then I came to record podcast. And that's it.
What a day.
Indeed. How was your day?
Yeah. Very busy at work. We just migrated to a new library services platform, so a new system of circulation and stuff. And it was just a lot trying to figure out what was and wasn't working while trying to do things with people standing in front of you.
Indeed. That sounds annoying.
Yeah, and then I'd be like messaging my boss like, this happened. Is this meant to work this way or is it broken? Can you please tell me, because this is new and I don't know.
Great.
Yeah, and we have a thing at the entrances where people have to scan their books as they're leaving to confirm they're checked out. Mm-hmm. And the new system we're using was checking the books in.
Oh, no.
As they were being scanned to leave.
Bad. That seems very bad. I don't know a ton about how libraries work, but that seems very bad.
It's not great. We do like when people return the books.
Right.
And most people would probably do it on their own, but a lot of people wouldn't.
Everyone, right. Yikes. So it's like the one thing you need your computer system to do properly.
Yeah.
Check books in and out at the correct times.
Yes. So it was just a busy day of doing that. And then after work, I had my first video interview with a rescue for a dog.
Oh, puppy.
So different one than the one who pre-qualified me that I sent you that message about.
Ah, interesting.
Because I think I said this, I applied for multiple dogs.
Yeah,
because
often
I was like,
you have
I don't
to.
know. Yeah.
Because when I was helping my sister get a dog, we applied for several and someone else snatched them up before we got our application in.
So hopefully she won't be like, your house and yard are garbage and you don't deserve dogs.
I'm sure that won't be the case. They typically just want a house that is mostly clean and a yard with a fence. Some of them don't even care about the yard with a fence. A lot of them do, but not all of them.
Yeah, and I showed them my 4-foot tall fence with its chicken wire back, so it's not like it's a surprise.
Yeah.
And I also showed them how my yard wasn't really a yard, so, was expecting to do more walks than maybe would expect with a fenced-in yard, but
there's still room for a puppy to play around back there.
Yeah. And I still might make a decision to make some of it a little bit more grassy at some point, but yeah, so that was my day. It was a long day.
Sounds like it.
And now we're podcasting. We are.
You know who else had a really long day?
Who's that?
Everyone on SG1 and also Vala.
Yeah, I would say Vala particularly.
Also, I guess Vala's kid, because for Vala's kid, one day is 20 years or something.
Yeah, there's a lot happening on those Ori ships. Yeah. Good job.
Well, yeah, thank you. What's this episode we're talking about where everyone is having long and bad days?
This is Stargate SG1 Season 10. 10!
We made it!
Ooh. Last season. Besides those movies.
True.
And it's episode 1 of Season 10, Flesh and Blood.
Those movies. I'm thinking they'll have to be 2-parter episodes because that's a long episode. I don't know how long the movies actually are. We might have to do them that way, though.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've thought about them.
It has. I was actually just rewatching or looking at the watch order again now that I'm like, holy shit, we're actually getting near the point. It's going to still be almost a year before we finish. But we're getting near the point where we're going to have to start switching things up a little. And according to the watch order that I think was on Gatewatch or something, you do season 2, season 8 through 10, and season 1 through 3, as we've been doing, alternating. And then after season 10 and season 3 end, then we need to do the Arc of Truth. Oh. And then we start Atlantis season 4.
Okay.
So we'll have to check the length of that. But yeah, I'm thinking we maybe have to make that 2 episodes instead of 1. But we'll see. If it's only a little over an hour, then we should probably just power through and do one longer.
Yeah,
episode.
I mean, maybe we won't have a lot to say about it.
It is entirely possible. I don't remember anything about it. It's been a very long time since I watched it, and I only watched it once.
Yeah, I got nothing. I can picture what the movie cover looks like. Poster.
I can't even do that much. So yeah. Here we are, not to be confused with the Ark of the Covenant and Indiana Jones and the...
Right. Yeah. Different podcasts.
Right. What's this one?
The Ark of the Covenant.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
The episode starts with a recap. Flamey, Ori are bad. Yes, we get it. Vala's carrying a mystery fetus. The Ori have a supergate and a bunch of ships. SG1's attempts to stop the Ori invasion have not gone well so far, not even when Teal'c manages to recruit the Lucian Alliance as backup. Sam watches the battle while just floating around in a spacesuit. Vala watches the battle while in labor. And recap.
Woo! Nice job.
Thanks.
We start with Vala, who is giving birth on the Ori ship, surrounded by pilgrims. In blue, though. They were wearing blue.
Yes.
I think traditionally they're depicted in black?
Black? Brown?
I don't know.
Dark brown? I don't know.
But they had a very pilgrimy look to them.
Yes. I think it's black. Yeah.
She delivers her baby, and the pilgrims wrap the baby up, and they won't tell her anything about it. Vala's like, is the baby okay? They were like, she's beautiful. Vala's like, oh, okay, I had a girl, cool. And then they go to leave with the baby. But a prior appears and says something in a Ori language, I guess.
Totally not Latin.
Nope.
But it sounds like Latin.
Did we run it through any translate to see if it even came close to anything?
Oh, I did not.
Probably not.
But just based on all of the ets and ad and stuff in there, that's why I was saying it looks like Latin.
Vala is like, can I please hold my baby? Can I see my baby? She's my baby. I've been through a lot. But the prior tells her that she belongs with those who follow the path. And then he says something else, which Toman translates. Toman was there as well, I should have said. Toman translates that as, from one all will learn. And he then realizes that the baby is Orisai, whatever that is. He doesn't explain, but then the prior does some exposition for us with flowery language. She's going to lead them to glorious victory over any unbelievers, he says. And that's a lot for a baby.
It is a lot to put on one baby.
Yes.
According to some random person on Gateworld's version of Reddit, essentially, Calam vidir esit et eros ad sidera telera vultus, which is what the prior said when the kid was born, translates to, when you see her, you see the sky, and those on earth must lift their faces toward the stars. I don't have any idea how he figured that, though, so.
Okay. I don't know what that means either.
Yeah.
Something about the baby.
Yeah.
I saw my baby crying hard as babe could cry.
But then we have credits. And did you watch the credits?
Oh, I didn't, actually. I normally remember to. I normally do the first episode of each season, and I forgot this time.
It's not a surprise, but guess who we are stuck with?
Shocking is Vala,
It is Vala.
because I remember her being in it for the rest of the season.
Yep. Added to the credits.
Yep. I mean, she was kind of in them before. She was pictured in them, if not actually like a featured character.
Yeah. But now she's got a name
Her own
title and
nameplate. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Her own nameplate. Right by her cubicle.
Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
After credits, Sam's still floating around in space. That's gotta suck. She has literally nothing to anchor her to. As far as she knows, she's the only one alive, although we find out soon that she's not. But the battle's mostly over, and there's just destroyed ships and debris and all kinds of stuff around everywhere, and she's just floating around. Yeah. She's trying to get anybody at all to come in on the radio that can hear her, and as luck would have it, the first person that responds to her is Mitchell. So it turns out that things went very badly for the Korolev. In fact, it exploded, as Sam points out. But Mitchell managed to get his way to an F-302 before that actually happened, because I guess he was either heading to the bay or was just near the bay as things were going bad. So he managed to be like the only person to survive the explosion. At least it seemed. We don't get anything about anybody else. We see his one ship leaving the Korolev as it's exploding, and that's it. So,
Yeah.
the one survivor, seemingly, anyway, so far. And after that, Mitchell doesn't remember what happened. He thinks he lost consciousness. Sam asks about Daniel. Mitchell says he's pretty sure Daniel was still on board. We, of course, all know that Daniel is not dead, because Daniel is never actually dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mitchell asks Sam what happened to the Ori ships, and she said that they left about 4.5 hours ago. So Sam's just been floating around for 4.5 hours after the end of the battle.
That is a long, sad time to be like, am I going to die out here alone?
I would think this would require some therapy, but we're never going to address that at all, I'm sure.
No.
However, this would, I would think, be extremely traumatic.
Yeah.
But let's just ignore that and move on. All of a sudden, Emerson calls to them. So the Odyssey has arrived, which is good news because he has a place for Mitchell to dock. He can't do a whole lot for Sam, though, because his beaming technology on the Odyssey isn't working. I guess maybe the 302 goes too fast for Sam. I know that he can't go and pick her up and put her in the cockpit with him because he would die in opening the cockpit, but I didn't really see why he couldn't just fly slowly near her and she could just hang a ride on the outside. That made no sense to me.
I think it's a fair question, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't happen.
No, I don't know. My only guess, like I said, is that maybe she was too far away and they weren't able to get close enough without, I don't know. It made no sense. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Sam is still SOL there in space until they get the beaming technology back on board. But the Odyssey was part of this battle, and so they apparently went off to chase the Ori ships for a while, but then once the Ori ships went into hyperspace, they stayed behind, I think both because their hyperspace technology is not working, and also they wanted to check for survivors. Sam says she hates to be self-centered here, but can you maybe make getting the beaming technology at least a little bit of a priority so that you can pick me up? Meanwhile, as we mentioned, Mitchell's going to go back and dock on the ship.
Yeah, lucky Mitchell.
Just going to leave her out there.
Yep. Floating around. Then the Odyssey gets a call from Teal'c. Teal'c is also still alive.
Yay!
Woo! At least one of the Lucian Alliance ships has survived. They have been working hard to get their systems online. They are trying to have a chat about assessing the situation between the two, but then someone's firing at Teal'c, and Teal'c needs to return fire, and that's it for Teal'c for now. Emerson asks Mark how shields are in hyperdrive. They've got a little bit of some of it. He said Cavassier is concentrating on the beaming so they can get Sam on board. So I'm guessing hyperdrive need to wait.
Surely so, because they can't go anywhere with the hyperdrive anyway until they've got Sam. At least I would hope they wouldn't go anywhere with the hyperdrive until they've got Sam.
That would be terrible.
That would be very mean.
Yep. Emerson's like, how about some good news, though? And Marks is like, well, Mitchell's on board safely. Good job. Good job, Marks. Bringing that silver lining. So that's about it right now for that. We do get a quick shot of Teal'c being knocked out unconscious on the Lucian Alliance ship and being ordered to be taken to a cell by Netten, who has also survived.
Sometime later, Emerson and Mitchell are walking in the hall, talking the halls, if you will, trying to figure out why the Ori would leave anybody behind after the battle. But as Mitchell points out, they don't tend to kill absolutely everybody. They always leave just a few alive because those few need to be able to go forth and tell everybody about their major defeat in the hopes that that will convince people that they all need to follow the Ori to avoid the same fate. They talk about the beaming technology again. They radio to Cavassier, and he has no good news for them. He says he's rewriting the control code from the beginning, and it would be going much faster if he were not constantly interrupted.
One by one, about 2 million lines.
Exactly.
Please! God damn it! Hate this hacker crap!
Mitchell asks Emerson if any of the Korolev crew managed to beam over before the ship was lost, and they did get a half a dozen. So while Mitchell was the only ship that escaped, they did get that half dozen. Daniel was not one of them. They do have a data recorder that they were able to locate, and so they're going to try to retrieve that yet. Mitchell asks if they've had any word from Teal'c, and so Emerson tells him that yes, they saw him on the screen very briefly, and then there was a bit of a scuffle, as he puts it, over control of the ship. So again, things aren't going so great for Teal'c over there. Marks radios to Emerson and says that the Aleutian Alliance mothership is on the line and asking to speak with him. So he's going to go and head to the bridge. On their way back there, Mitchell asks if Earth knows about their situation, but no, because they have a long-range array that would help them to send messages, and that isn't working. So they don't really have any deep space communication capability right now. And they've missed 2 check-ins, in fact. So Mitchell says there's no help coming, but I would think the fact that they'd missed 2 check-ins would mean that they would be sending help, in the assumption that they...
If they could, but as Emerson then says, the only 2 ships they have are either destroyed or right there.
I guess. What about... Oh, yeah, sorry, I was forgetting about... I was thinking about the Atlantis ship, and I was like, why don't they send that one? And then, right, because it's over in Atlantis.
Stupid Pegasus Galaxy.
Right, exactly. So even if they could get that ship over, it's going to be like a couple weeks. So, yeah. Right. So, no help coming then. They've got maybe a day or less on their current life support, and that's only if they don't take on any more survivors. So things are just bad. Bad all around.
Bad.
Yeah.
And their conversation with the Aleutian Alliance doesn't make anything better.
Nope.
Nettin wants them to surrender the Odyssey immediately. And then Mitchell's like, I got this, Emerson. Why don't you go take a nap or something?
I like naps.
He actually offers, and Emerson's like, cool. But this was an episode where Mitchell kept just like inserting himself into other people's jobs. He's kind of weird. This was one of them. So he's like, hey there, I'm Cameron Mitchell, and we're all in this together, right? We're supposed to be allies. I mean, we got our butts kicked, he said, but we still gotta work together. And Nettin's like, no, you've got no shields. I'm gonna fire on you if you don't do what I say. And Emerson's like, but you'd be destroying the only other ship with life support. Don't you like life support? Do you like breathing? Because I do.
I like breathing.
Yeah. But Nettin's not hearing any of this. He's mad. He's there at all. He thinks they did it on purpose, dragged him in there, depleting his forces. And Mitchell's like, no, we're all in this. We all had a bad day.
Yeah, Nettin's argument is a very stupid one.
Yes.
Given that the Earth ships are almost destroyed.
Yeah. And Nettin's like, too bad. Surrender or die. Mitchell then turns around to quietly talk to Emerson. Well, they don't cut off communication with Nettin, at least as far as I can see.
Yeah, that seemed pretty dumb.
Yeah, I'm like, is it something where you have to like shout forward towards the screen and he can hear you? Or could he maybe hear you while you're talking quietly
whispering to each other about ordnance and the fact that your shields aren't working?
Yeah. It was kind of weird, but that's what they did.
It was very weird.
Maybe Marks was like, ah, fuck these idiots. Turned off the...
I bet Marks was on top of things.
Yeah.
He's like, God damn it, Emerson, why does he do this all the fucking time?
And now Mitchell, too. God. I should be in command.
Next, we're on the Ore ship with Vala and Tommen and his terrible hair. And it's just so distracting how bad his hair is. And I feel like it looked even worse in this episode than it did before. Just such a bad wig with bangs that are just straight down over his forehead. And it's awful.
They are.
Yeah. It's just bad. Vala is recovering pretty well, but she's upset that nobody's letting her see the baby. Tommen assures her that she's being well cared for. Apparently he can see her, but Vala's not allowed to see her, so that's stupid. But Tommen's a believer, and Vala is not, so here we are.
I would like to see the baby.
They have finally, after, I don't know, a couple hours, agreed to let her see the kid. And the door opens, and a maid comes in with a little toddler, old enough to be walking and talking. And she is dressed like Little Red Riding Hood.
Yep.
Which was a weird choice.
Yes.
And the kid says, "Hello, mother." So that's weird because she was born like an hour or two ago, and now she's 4 or whatever. Vala looks a little surprised and confused. Out in space, Sam is continuing to float around and radios to the Odyssey, just looking for an update. She's got to be so bored. Literally nothing to do. I would imagine she's probably getting chilly also.
Probably.
Or too hot. I don't know. I don't know how space works. Or if she's like me, too hot and too cold at the same time, because my hands are always very cold, even when the rest of me is often too warm. And it's annoying and stupid. Anyway, she says from where she is, it looks like the mothership is damaged pretty badly. Meaning the Lucian mothership. I was like, wait a minute, when did the Ori come back? They did not. The Lucian mothership. And she's pretty sure that they're not weapons capable. I think she's been able to listen to the conversation that they were having with the Lucian Alliance. So it seems like she's basically just trying to warn them that she thinks they're bluffing, that about trying to kill them if they don't sacrifice the ship. And Mitchell does say, well, yeah, they haven't fired yet, so probably right. But Emerson wants them to move out of weapons range anyway, just in case. And also, let's see what happens when we do that.
On the Ori ship, Vala is meeting with her daughter. She's like, I've heard children grow up quickly, but this is ridiculous. She winces in pain, and her daughter walks over and lays hand on her and eases her pain, just with a touch. She tells her mother, you do not believe. And Vala's like, what are you talking about? Obviously I believe. And she's like, no, I know your feelings. I promise I'll help you find the path. Hallowed are the Ori. And then Toman, who's kneeling on the floor through this whole thing, is also like, hallowed are the Ori.
Ugh.
It's great. It's so great. Everyone's great. Then we're in the SGC. And who is coming for a visit? It's Braytac!
Yay!
Landry is there to greet him. Braytac knows that the battle did not go well, so he reports that to Earth, who has not had any contact at this point. Braytac says they'd be lucky if either survives, so he doesn't even have word on the current situation. So he says that 4 Ori ships came through the giant super gate, which they gave a different name instead of Chapa I, is Chapa Ko.
Apparently.
And that they laid waste to all that stood in their path and moved on. Landry's like, well, we got to get some kind of ship out there. We need to know what's going on. Braytac agrees with this, so they're going to go, I assume, ask the Jaffa for a ship.
Presumably.
He has Walter dial it up.
Walter? You mean?
Walter. Oh, my
I think.
God. Well, he said Walter, so that's why.
He did say Walter. They never call him by the correct name.
They don't. They do not. Not even when Jack named him.
Nope. Back on the Odyssey, Mitchell is in a control room with Kvasir, and Emerson comes in and asks how things are going, because, of course, they're still trying to get the beaming technology back on, and they beam a blob onto a little table. That was their test. Emerson asked what that blob was supposed to be, and Mitchell says it was a sandwich. So
Gross.
beaming technology is not quite ready for Sam yet, unless we want Sam to also be a blob, just like that gross-looking sandwich. Meanwhile, out in space, Sam radios to them, saying she hates to rush them. Mitchell asks if Kvasir can fix it in time, but he is not sure where this instability is coming from that is leading to blobs instead of sandwiches, so he does not have an answer. He's going to have to go through the program code again, line by line. All 2 million or billion or whatever it was. So, no, they're going to have to come up with a plan B, which, again, why their plan B wasn't Mitchell Tozer in, I don't know. But that's what they're going to do, is try and figure out another plan. Sam says, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, it's not going to work.
Nope. Not at all.
Nope. But Mitchell asks Marks if he minds and says that they're coming to get him.
Doing someone else's job again, Mitchell.
Yep.
What makes you think you're going to be better at this than the guy who's been flying this ship the whole time?
Right. Specifically, Mitchell kicked Marks out of his seat. I probably should mention. He said, "Do you mind?" as he was making Marks move so he could fly the ship. I missed that part. That was important.
Yeah, not quite as bad as Rodney pushing some guy's chair and rolling him out of scene.
True. At least Mitchell asked.
Yes.
So just shoving Marks onto the floor. Somehow I missed that Mitchell was no longer in the room with Kvasir and
Oh.
I thought they were talking on the radio.
They had been.
They had been. That's why I was confused.
Then we're on the Lucian Alliance mothership. Teal'c is in a cell, laying on the floor. Nettin comes to see him and tells Teal'c, "This is your fault. This guy is just all over the place." And very mad and not taking any responsibility for the fact that he could have just been like, "Fuck no, I'm not going." So it's really on him that his fleet got decimated.
Really is.
Yeah. Teal'c is pitching more cooperation, but Nettin is like, "Nope, I'm so mad and I would like to just hit you with my pain stick instead." So he does. Then we watch as Mitchell rescues Sam by moving the Odyssey toward her and slowly getting her into the cargo hold. Is that the word? Cargo bay.
Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The launch bay, whatever it is.
Why they didn't do this before, I also don't understand.
I don't know. Sam was very concerned about it.
She was. And I don't understand why she was so concerned about it either.
Yeah, because it goes very smoothly.
Yes. And the thing was moving very slowly. She could definitely tell them if they were a bit off from where her position was. It's not like she was spinning out of control or something. She was pretty much just floating there, fairly stationary.
Yeah, so I get they were saying like it was going too fast and something might happen, but I really didn't feel the stakes in this at all.
No, definitely not. It was weird.
So she lands and then lays down. Then people rush in to give her a hand to get her out of her suit and make sure she's okay. Emerson congratulates Mitchell on some nice flying. And Mitchell says, "Some days you get lucky." So I guess, again, this was a big deal.
Yeah, apparently.
But it didn't
even
feel
though it
that
did
way.
not seem like it because the opening to the bay was so large. It's not like it was a small opening.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. It's not like nailing womp rats and back home or anything
exactly.
like that. Yeah. This is bigger than 3 meters.
That's impossible, even for a computer.
Yeah. Yep.
Later, Sam is in the infirmary. She's got a blanket. Presumably she's had some food and stuff to drink, which is good. She's got to have been pretty dehydrated out there. Mitchell comes in to see her, and of course she thanks him for rescuing her, but he says no sweat, although actually there was definitely some sweat involved. She asks if they have an update on Teal'c, but they do not. They did get the black box from the Korolev, though, and the rings were activated, it turns out. So not only were there the 6 people that beamed off that they did know about, they did not know that the rings were activated. So that could be a good sign. They don't know who or what might have been transported, but that's optimistic.
We all know.
We do, of course, all know, yes. And then, of course, there's a flashback, and the battle is going on. The Korolev has not blown up yet. There's a weapons officer talking with Chekhov about the possibility of beaming a neutron bomb onto the Ori ship. The Odyssey has been trying to do that, but they've had no success with it. Daniel is there and asks, what about rings? If beaming isn't working and isn't getting through their shields, maybe rings can get there. I would think that the Ori ship would need to have other rings to receive it. And do they have that kind of technology? I thought we already established there needs to be a recipient ring.
I think so, but then sometimes I think there weren't recipient rings in some cases on the show.
Yeah, it's weird. So apparently not, because they're going to ring the bomb over to the Ori ship. At least that's the plan. Daniel does say they're going to set their rings to seek out the nearest other set, which does imply that they would have rings on the Ori ship, but that makes no sense. But here we are. Doesn't matter. So he's going to head off with the weapons officer to go and try to do that. They're getting fired upon this whole time, so I may have made it sound calmer than it really was, but there's all kinds of explosions and fires happening, and Daniel and the weapons officer make it to the gate. He tells her to set the bomb so that it'll go off 5 seconds after he activates the rings. However, that is when the last shot that destroys the Korolev hits, and so explosions are just traveling through the ship in waves, and it almost looked like Daniel basically sacrificed the weapons officer to save himself, but let's assume that didn't happen. Because when he realized that the ship was about to blow up, he activated the rings, and instead of the bomb going into the rings, he did a tuck and roll onto the platform. And I guess the weapons officer was left both with the bomb and also the oncoming explodingness.
Yeah.
So Daniel noped out of there without the weapons officer, who was like 2 feet away from him. And he got beamed over to the Ori ship.
We were just doing some refreshers on active shooter stuff at work, and Daniel did what it was told, which is run away.
Yes, this
Don't
is
worry
true.
about other people, just run away.
Yes, that is how those very uplifting trainings
Yes.
do
it's
tell
very
you to handle the
distressing.
situation.
It sure is so distressing.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. I hate that there's always like 5 or 6 people that die first in the opening of the videos in those training things, and they're like, save your own life by making sure that you either stay in place or hide or whatever. And I'm always like, but what about the 5 or 6 people that are already dead? How about gun control regulation or something? But no, Of course, that's not the takeaway of that video. The takeaway of that video is that you won't be one of those 5 or 6 that initially die. You'll be one of the ones that manages to either hide or flee or fight.
Yeah. They don't talk about the failed policies of the United States.
No.
That is some heavy shit.
And the garbage culture we have. Yay. Sorry. That's just, it's so in my mind because we just did it yesterday.
Yeah, that sucks. I hate those things. I think I'm probably due for another one soon, too, because
Yeah.
we've got some new trainings coming up. So I think that they either might have a new one for us, like an updated one or something. But I got a list of trainings I need to do, and they just all look awful. And I'm pretty sure that one of them was something along those lines.
And then my coworkers were like, yeah, when I was in school and we had to do these. And I'm like, thank God I was out of school before having drills about this was a thing.
Thankfully that was not a thing when we were in high school. And I don't actually even remember them being a thing when we were in college, even though we were in college for 9/11, and it was definitely after the high school shootings started to become more commonplace.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But now we do them.
Here we are.
Yes. Now I'm doing them from the teacher side of things, and it's also unpleasant from that perspective.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one that needs to make sure that everyone's phones are off and that the windows are as covered as possible and all of that fun stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Don't huddle together in one place when you're hiding.
Yep.
Make more targets.
Yeah, well, I'm actually supposed to have them stay at their desks as much as possible, move out of the way of the windows, but I'm supposed to try to cover the windows, which thankfully I can typically do in our classroom because we have paper they're metal. This is like such a long tangent that has no meaning now, but I can typically cover the windows, and so I just let them all sit at their desks. But yeah, good times.
Sigh.
Don't open the door if anyone knocks on it, because apparently our security will just knock on the doors just to see if you'll fall for it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. To make it that much more nerve-wracking. And I'm like, is that a student? Can't let them in. Was my student just in the bathroom when this went off? I don't know. I am missing 2 apparently, but I can't open the door for them, so here we are. Bathroom door doesn't have a lock on it, so you're out of luck, kids.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Stargate,
anyway, Stargate.
Yeah.
Stargate. We're back in the SGC. Woolsey is here.
Yay.
Hi, Woolsey.
You should know I'm a hologram.
He's been briefed on the goings-on. Landry is letting him know, nope, we don't know a lot. We don't know where the enemy ships are. They destroyed 2 of our 304s, an Asgard ship, and a whole fleet of motherships. So it's not great.
Nope.
Woolsey's like, maybe they're on their way here. And Landry's like, who knows? And we sent the best we had to stop them, so we're all fucked.
Great.
He doesn't say that, but
There's the implication.
Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man.
Woolsey wants to bring the Atlantis ZPM to Earth to power the Antarctic chair. Landry's like, that's a bad idea. 1, it's going to take weeks to get the ZPM here because we can't just send it through a Stargate. And who knows if the weapons platform would work against the Ori either. Nothing else has worked.
They also don't mention the fact that it was out of squids, wasn't it?
I think they got more squids, though. They got
They
them
did in
from
Atlantis, but now they would have to ask Atlantis to give up all their...
I thought the Earth Chair had gotten some,
Had
too.
it? Okay. Maybe I missed that.
I can't remember the context, but I feel like they got replenished.
All right.
But Landry's like, this is a waste of time, and the IOA sucks. So then we're on the Ori ship. Vala has gone to see her daughter, who is having a snack and is even older now. I don't know what the age would... I don't know
10?
children's ages.
I don't really
sure.
either.
Let's go with 10. She's older than she's ever been, and now she's even older.
And now you're even older.
Yeah.
Now you're older still.
Time is marching on.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay. Her daughter assures her she does not need to be afraid. She's still wearing her Red Riding Hood outfit,
Yeah.
it looks like, yeah.
Do you think that they made it magically stretchy? Because, like, it's not skin tight or anything. So how do they get it to expand with her if she has grown, I don't know, how much older is a 10, or how much bigger is a 10-year-old than a baby? She's grown this much in,
Yeah.
like, a few hours. So I would think that they would need to be reclothing her, like, literally every 15 minutes. Unless this has some magical stretching capabilities.
Maybe she's doing it herself.
Could be.
She also has some creepy, fiery looking eyes.
She
Like
does.
they're very orangey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the kid that young having to wear contact lenses. That can't have been very comfortable. Having some adults stick their fingers in your eyes, especially for like the little toddler.
Yeah.
I was thinking that as I was watching her scenes, and I forgot to mention it. But yeah, that it must have sucked for a 4-year-old to let somebody put things in her eyes. Maybe they let her mom do it, but who knows, or one of her parents. But anyway.
There's a reason I don't wear contacts, and it has to do with having contacts shoved in my eyes when I was a child.
Fair. I mean, you get over it eventually as an adult, or I imagine as a younger person, but I wouldn't want someone else putting things in my eyes, especially at that age.
No. Yeah, and it didn't do me any good. So they're like, oh, we took a lens out. Let's just put a fake one on and see what happens. Nothing happened. Also, now I wear actual glasses because it protects the one good eye I have.
Yes.
Anyway, Vala's like, are you going to stop growing? Because if you age really fast, you might die really fast. And her daughter's like, oh, that's so nice that you worry about me. How are you doing? And Vala's like, I'm doing well, thanks. And she is a growing girl, so she says she's very hungry and has been eating like crazy.
I would imagine. She has grown very fast.
Vala asks if she has a name, and the daughter is like, they call me Orosai. And Vala's like, that's not really a name, huh?
Give me your name, Horsemaster, and I shall give you mine.
So she asks Vala what Vala would call her, and Vala's like, well, I'll name her after my mother, a very strong woman, Adria. And Adria's like, cool, yes, I am Adria. That's fine. She then says to Vala that naming her, maybe you think you're humanizing her and making her more like you, Vala, or more like Vala, and more sympathetic to the non-believer's point of view. And Vala's like, how could you know that? How do you know what you know? You're so young. But then Adria explains, their knowledge is in her genetic makeup. As much as her human brain could hold, she holds the knowledge of the Ori, but not all of it.
Neat.
Yeah.
So she's basically like a human Ori version of a hagfish.
Yeah. The evil Orlin.
Yeah. I would say Evelyn, but that's a whole different character.
So Vala's like, you're not an Ori then. And Adria says she is the closest she can be in flesh and blood. And Vala's like, isn't there part of you that's from me? And Adria's like, yes, you're my mom. And then Vala decides to be like, okay, yeah, so as your mother, you're going to listen to me. You are not going to go do genocide in this galaxy. No crusades. And Vala's like, yeah, obviously that was silly, but worth a try, she says. Adria is spinning the same story of the Ori, that the ancients are the ones who are really evil and are hiding knowledge from the humans. So everyone needs to see the true path. And if not, they're going to be destroyed. Because otherwise, we're losing to evil, and that's bad.
Indeed. That's certainly how it feels these days.
Yeah. So Vala's like, preemptive strike, self-defense? Adria's like, it doesn't matter. Our cause is just, and the truth will see us through. She doesn't understand why Vala doesn't buy into this. And Vala says she doesn't know. Adria's like, what have the ancients done to earn your trust? Nothing. But Vala's like, you haven't done anything either. So that's about it. It's just a long conversation.
It was a long and boring conversation.
A little mommy-daughter heart-to-heart.
Yeah, I had to watch it like 5 times. First of all, I felt like in a lot of scenes they were kind of mumbling. And very frequently I was like, what the fuck did they just say? And I had to rewind and try to figure out what they had said. Because I didn't have the transcript in front of me while I was actually watching it. And then we got distracted because it was just tedious.
Yeah.
Back over at the Odyssey, 2 motherships have dropped out of hyperspace. It turns out that they are Lucian Alliance vessels specifically, and they hail the Odyssey. Netin is there and tells them to lower their shields and prepare to be boarded, or they're going to destroy you. And he is quite capable of it this time, unlike before. Now he can really do it, and he's got help. So, do it. Marks says that their shields are currently at 30% and won't stand up to much. It does seem like he has left the microphone on for this conversation. So you wouldn't think they would want the Lucian Alliance people to know that, but here we are. Mitchell was there as this was going on, and he radios to Sam to ask how the hyperdrive is going. She's, of course, hanging out with Kvasir trying to get stuff working again, but it's not going well. They're still working on the beaming technology, so they definitely don't have the hyperdrive. You would think that once everyone was on board, they would have focused on the hyperdrive instead of beaming technology, but here we are.
Probably, yeah.
The motherships start to power their weapons, but then we're with Vala back on the Ori ship. She goes into her room, and Daniel's there? How he found her room specifically, I don't know.
Kind of weird.
Vala is, of course, confused about why Daniel's on the ship and in her room. We know why he's on the ship. Don't know how he found her room, but here we are. He realizes that she is much smaller than she had been the last time that he saw her. He says, what happened? And she's like, oh, I had a baby. She seems oddly happy about it, given how shitty this situation is. I thought it was amusing. She starts to complain after that, though, that she never thought she'd agree with her father. And she remembers him talking about how you need to nurture them and raise them and teach them the best that you can. And then they're still going to break your heart anyway. And she had assumed that her dad was saying all that stuff just because it was her and she was awful. But now she's feeling the same way about her own daughter. And Daniel is very confused because as far as he knows, it's a newborn that they're talking about. And Vala continues that she was all sweet and innocent to begin with, but now she's hell-bent on dominating the galaxy. Just like, how old is she? And Vala says, yeah, she's a few hours. And so Vala continues to go on about how the kid is evil and talking about taking over the galaxy and is basically completely Ori. And Daniel continues to be very, very confused before Vala finally tells him, oh, right, yeah, I forgot to mention that she's aging super fast, so she's actually much older than her several hours would indicate. Daniel is pretty dismayed to hear about all of that. Not only is this mystery baby there because of the Ori, but the fact that the kid is aging super fast, it's just none of this can possibly end well.
This will all end in tears, I just know it.
Vala agrees that Origin's probably going to become a lot more appealing to the males in this galaxy if her daughter ends up having a figure anything like her own. Daniel asks Vala if she knows where they're going, but she does not, because no one's telling her anything since she is not a believer or a follower. However, she's still hoping that maybe the kid will feel some sense of loyalty to her or being tied to her, since Vala is her mom, and so maybe that will help them somehow at some point.
Sure.
Yeah. And Vala mentions the fact that she did name the kid Adria and told her that it was her mother's name, but that it was actually her stepmother who she hated. You'd think that the daughter would be able to realize that since the daughter can tell when Vala's lying, but apparently she did not.
Yeah.
Vala thinks that despite the fact that Adria has the knowledge of ascended beings, it still seems like she might want Vala's approval, and she's hoping that she's right, and she's hoping that she can use that somehow. But right now, Daniel doesn't care about that. He just wants to get himself, and ideally Vala also, off of the ship. But before they can figure out how they're going to do that, Toman inconveniently comes up. Daniel manages to leap over the bed and hide behind it before Toman comes in. And he's glad to see that Vala seems to be feeling better.
Motherships arrive by the Odyssey. More of them. So this is not looking good for the Odyssey. But it is actually, surprise, not more Aleutian Alliance ships. It's Braytak. Yay. Woo! Braytak says he's already demanded the Aleutian Alliance stand down or face them in battle. And then the Aleutian Alliance does start firing, but instead of firing on the Odyssey or the Jaffa motherships, they fired on their own damaged ship, blowing it up. And they're like, what the hell is this? Mitchell, though, radios to Sam and says, now or never, and surprise, surprise, the beaming is working, and they've beamed Teal'c over to the Odyssey just in time to not be blown up.
Yay.
Good job, guys. Sam asks Teal'c if he's okay. He says, I have been better. So they're going to get Teal'c taken care of. And they're like, okay, cool. Emerson's like, oh, enough fighting for one day. And Mitchell's like, yeah, they didn't want us to salvage anything from their ship. That's why they blew it up. Good times.
Yep.
Aleutian Alliance, definitely an ally.
Good people over there, yeah.
Yep.
Back with Vala and Toman. He's still incredulous that after everything that Vala's been through and seen, she still doesn't believe in the Ori.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
She tries to convince him that she does. No, she totally does. Everything's fine. It's going to be great. Be a family. And I follow and all of that good stuff. But he doesn't believe her. And the reason for that is because the Orosai is a truth seer. And so because his kid knows that Vala doesn't believe, he knows that Vala doesn't believe. Vala says that she's a child and little girls always have issues with their mothers. And totally believe in the Ori. Everything's great. She asks why he's even here if he doubts her devotion. And he says it's because he loves her. And he wanted to save her soul. Gross. But now he's got to run off because he's being called to duty. And after he leaves, Daniel comes out of hiding, and Vala does look truly sad when she says that she had been hoping that she could save him.
There's no hope for him.
Does not seem so.
No. He's already murdered people.
He has. In the name of his fake religion, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Sigh indeed.
Then we're in the infirmary on the Odyssey again. This time, Teal'c is the one being tended to. Braytak comes to visit as well as Mitchell. They're very happy to see Teal'c and are happy he's alive. Mitchell, though, is a Debbie Downer, is like, we got some bad news. And that bad news is the Ori have been located over Chulak. Terrible news. Question.
Yes.
Why the hell didn't the Ori go straight to Earth?
That is a good question. I have no answer.
Did they know about Earth? Like, I guess
Chulak is closer, is my only guess.
Maybe. Because I feel like taking out Earth would have been like a huge help to them.
Yeah. They might not know where it is, and or Chulak might just be closer. Yeah.
It's true. It's not like the tease that it is for the Wraith, I guess.
Right.
They're not like, oh, there's all those people we can eat.
Right.
They're probably like, we don't know what Earth is. It's just another planet. God.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done with that question. And then we see the space around Chulak and the Ori just continuing to kick the asses of everyone who comes in their path. It's destroying Jaffa motherships left and right. Teal'c is sprung immediately from the infirmary and is hanging out with Emerson, Braytak, Sam, and Mitchell. So most of SG3 quarters and some other folks. And they're talking about, why would they go after Chulak? And Braytak is like, well, it was the heart of the Jaffa rebellion against the Goa'uld, but it really doesn't matter. We can't just let them all die. And Emerson's like, well, we have to go back to Earth when we get our hyperdrive back. Sorry, we can't help you with that. Also, somebody's got to stay here and look after the Supergate. Sam agrees. She's basically like, yeah, we need to know if more Ori ships come through. Braytak's like, fine, we'll leave a few ships behind, but we really got to go because this is Chulak and we are going to just leave people to die.
You said people gonna die?
Even though Mitchell's like, you've only got a few ships. They're all going to die. We couldn't stop them and we had more ships than that. And Braytak's like, too bad. Going. And then Mitchell's like, even though you were just objecting to this, I'm actually going to go too. And Sam's like, yeah, me too. And there's nothing you can do to stop us. Sam says that, however remote, there might be a chance Daniel's still alive by the by, so we should go just to check that out, because, you know, there's no way Daniel would ever make his way back to people after he's died.
Definitely not.
So you gotta make sure. Emerson's like, that doesn't seem likely that he's alive, and they're like,
have you met
don't
Daniel?
know Daniel.
Yeah. Have you been to any of his, 10 funerals?
Yeah. I guess you've never packed up one of his apartments.
And his fish.
Yeah.
Back on the Ori ship, Vala and Daniel are trying to figure out exactly what to do in their circumstance. Daniel realizes that they're on Chulak, and Vala talks about the fact that there seems to be an incursion about to begin as everybody is rushing out of the ship and out into the village. So if most people are off the ship fighting with the Jaffa, then maybe they can get off the ship without anybody noticing. That seems like a good opportunity. They don't know what powers the kid might have, as Daniel mentioned, so the kid might know something is up, but Vala says that maybe they can catch her and take her with them, because even though Vala does not like that this kid is part Ori and completely brainwashed into Ori, she does have a sense of belonging with this kid, since it is, in fact, her daughter still. But also she mentions that she might become the most powerful weapon that they could have against the Ori. But Daniel says that's a big if. However, he has nothing better, so they're going to give it a shot. They're going to head to the armory, where there are stun weapons and Zat guns. And as they're trying to sneak around the ship, what they don't realize is that Tommen is watching them from the other end of the hall, and he looks unhappy.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Then we're on Braytak's trip, traveling to Chulak. Mitchell's like, you don't got a lot of guys on board. What's going on? Braytak's like, actually, none of our ships have a lot of people. I could barely get these ships, and I had to assemble the crew personally. Are these all Braytak's friends? Are they all going to die, all of Braytak's friends?
That was my impression, that yes, they're all his friends or people that he taught and stuff like that, yes.
Perhaps today is a good day to die.
Yeah. Mitchell is continuing to emphasize the downside of what's going on. He's like, we're outmatched in manpower, firepower, and technology. Do we have a battle strategy, or are we just going to go die? He says he's all about noble death, but not pointless noble death. Sam then brings up that the Korolev were trying to ring over a nuke through a fluctuation in the Ori shields that happens when they fire weapons. Mitchell's like, great, so maybe we could do something like that too. Sam's like, we don't have any nukes though. She looks like we have bombs. This is our plan. Sam's going to start broadcasting. She's going to try to grab Daniel so they can ring him over and then also deliver a nuclear weapon to one of the Ori ships. And Mitchell is satisfied that this might now be a pointy noble death instead of just a pointless one. Plan.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Then we're back on the Ori ship. I don't know why Vala didn't take any weapons for herself, but Daniel's got some kind of like a stun gun, and she's going to go into Adria's quarters first and try to distract her so that she won't notice when Daniel comes in and hits her with the stun gun. She makes sure that he knows the stun setting and to not fire it multiple times, because that would probably kill somebody. She heads on in, and Adria is just sitting there in the dark alone, which is weird. The knowledge in her mind is growing, and it's a lot to take in, and it makes her head hurt. Out in space, the Hitaks come out of hyperspace and are immediately fired upon by some Ori ships that are out there. So there's a space fight now happening, in addition to the fight that is happening on the surface of Chulak. Sam and Braytak talk about their strategy a bit. They're going to try to surround the ship that they're aiming to destroy with the bombs. Back in the Ori ship, Adria tells Vala she knows what she's doing. Something's wrong. She doesn't know exactly what, but she knows that something is up. Vala asks if she has any interest in the planet that she's conquering, but Adria does not really seem to have any, and she asks if Vala has been here before, and she has been here before. Vala also asks Adria what she knows about the Jaffa, and Adria just thinks that they're confused about the ways of salvation, and they've been forced to serve false gods for many generations, but in their hearts, they know that Ori is really the true path, and they believe in ascension. She knows that they do, deep down, even if they don't realize it. So Vala asks, well, in that case, why are you killing them? And Adria doesn't have an answer for that one.
Yeah, dumb teenager.
Right? Seriously.
Think you know everything.
Seriously.
Sam starts radioing for Daniel or any survivors of the Korolev, but we all know it's just Daniel.
Yep. Might have been the weapons officer too, but I'm pretty sure he shoved her out of the way.
Yeah. Daniel's radio he does have turned on, so he does hear Sam's message. Since he's trying to be stealthy, he does pull it out as quickly as possible to quietly let her know he's not dead. And also, please stop talking. We need radio silence right now because things are happening.
Which begs the question, why did he even have his radio on right now if he didn't know that they were there and he needed to not be talking to anyone on it?
It's a good question. I'm trying to think of weighing like risk versus being caught versus missing out on finding your friends again. I don't know.
Does he have any reason to think that they would be here, though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. Braytak reports on his ship that he's detecting a fluctuation, so they know they're about to fire their Ori weapon, and they're almost ready to try to beam over the nuke. Sam reports she just made contact with Daniel, and he's alive. That's great. Mitchell asks what the bad news is, because there's always bad news, and Mitchell's sad he can't deliver it this time. Sam reports they lost one of their motherships, and if they can't beam over that weapon and blow up a ship, this is all over real quick. So they get in range, the Ori ship starts to fire, they beam over the bomb, but nothing happens. It does not go off.
Nope.
That's bad.
Indeed. Back with Adria and Vala. Adria's getting pissed off now, talking about how the Jaffa just need to embrace their destiny, but that still doesn't answer Vala's question about why they're trying to kill them if she thinks that they just need to embrace their destiny and if she's convinced that they know that Ori are the true path. And Vala says, of course, hallowed are the Ori, but Adria accuses her of blasphemy. Vala tries to convince her, like she tried to convince Toman, that she truly does believe now, but of course Adria knows better, even though Toman was starting to come around to think that Vala was telling the truth. Vala looks towards the door, clearly hoping that Daniel will come in and stun her, but instead Toman comes in with Daniel. So that's bad. And Toman is the one with the weapons now. Out in space, there's of course more fighting happening. Sam says that they lost another mothership, so now they're down to just their one ship. They need to get Daniel on board and get out of there, Mitchell says, but Braytak says that, no, that's not going to happen. He is instead going to run their vessel into the Ori ship. Since they can't get the bomb on there, it doesn't seem, or since the bomb didn't do anything that they beamed over there, he's just going to ram it and destroy them. And of course, that's going to kill all of them in the process, Mitchell points out, which Braytak, of course, is well aware of. But as they all point out, they don't actually know that that would necessarily do anything. They would probably just blow up against the shields and not actually cause any damage to the ship. So it would just be a pointless death, and then there would not really be any hope after that. It would basically just be a pointless statement, really.
Yeah.
Mitchell basically points out that he's always known that it was possible that he could die in battle, but he was kind of hoping to never find out. And also it would be really pointless if they were going to be losing anyway to just die for no reason when they didn't necessarily have to.
Oh, finally something more cheery. Maybe. Back on the Ori ship, Toman is incensed. Tells Adria they were conspiring against her. And she's like, yep, yeah, that's true. Kill him. And Vala's like, no, don't kill Daniel. Let's be reasonable. Adria again orders Toman to kill Daniel, and Vala pushes Daniel out of the way, and he shoots Vala instead.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
But she is not dead. And Adria is clearly upset that her mother was shot, which is, I guess, good. That she has some feeling.
Yes.
I don't know. And Toman is also a little upset that he shot Vala, although he'd probably kill her too if Adria told him
Absolutely.
to. So. And he'd feel good about
He'd
it.
be fine with it.
Because he's trash. Yeah. Adria goes to heal Vala again. But before she can, Daniel stuns her and Toman.
Stuns Adria specifically, not Vala.
Adria, yes. Shut up, Vala. No, yes, he stuns Adria. And Vala's like, you could have waited until she healed me, right? Daniel said, well, no, this was the right time, so let's go. Vala insists that he leave her and grab Adria, but Daniel's like, no. Unfortunately, though, a prior arrives to stop them from escaping at all. Stupid prior.
Seriously. Out on the Odyssey, Emerson radios to everybody on Braytak's ship and asks what's going on over there. Mitchell says to beam them aboard. Mark says that enemy ships have detected that they're there, so they're going to try their best to move in range, but things are looking bad out there as well on their ship. They conveniently all have their transmitting beacons to make it easier to lock onto them, and Mitchell did plant one on Braytak secretly, just in case, he says, which Braytak seemed surprised about. So they beamed them all out of there. Just before...
Sorry, Braytak.
Just before the ship gets destroyed.
No death for you today.
Nope. Back in Adria's apartment, Daniel tries to hit the prior with his stun gun weapon that he had, but that won't work. It's not firing. So he takes his regular gun and he points it at Adria's head, even though she's an unconscious little girl. And of course, Vala is horrified by that. The prior, of course, uses his brain powers to take the weapon away from Daniel and points his staff at them as though he's about to do something. But then the Asgard beam conveniently gets them out of there. And we just see Adria left behind, unconscious on the floor, and a surprised prior.
That was some quick thinking by Daniel. Like, what, did he feel the beam? Like, how did he know he was being beamed?
Yeah, worth mentioning, Vala did not have a beacon on herself. So as he was getting beamed out, he hugged her to make sure that she came with him. Almost forgot to mention that part.
That's probably a good call.
And I was wondering that too. Yeah, he must have felt like, I don't know, felt some tingles.
Maybe, yeah, some beam tingles.
Yeah. I feel something. A slight tingle in my fingers.
Beam tingles. Yeah. Excellent episode name.
Perfect. Yep. So yay. Yeah. Everyone's on the Odyssey. Yes. Then we're in the infirmary again of the Odyssey, the third time this episode.
Yeah. Why even bother leaving?
For Vala. I know. Does Daniel want to take a turn just for fun? Right. Mitchell, you need something while you're here? A little shot? A little ace bandage or something? They're having their little recap of the episode. Sounds like we were lucky the ship that had landed on the planet lowered their shields so they could get them out. Vala still insists they should have grabbed for Adria, and Daniel's like, I should have killed her. And Sam's like, you couldn't kill a child. And
Sam
we're all like,
knows for sure that he could and watched him kill all those hagfish babies.
Yeah. Come on, Sam. Just because they were hagfish doesn't mean they weren't babies.
Right, because she's essentially a hagfish. She just looks like a human.
Yeah. Which Daniel says, she's not a child. She's an Ori in the body of a human. Right. And they're like, well, how can the Ori cheat like this? And Sam's like, well, Orlin sort of did it, but he paid the consequences, Mitchell says. So he continues to insist the Ori are cheating. And Daniel talks about the Ascended rulebook getting hard to understand. And Mitchell's like, there's not really a rulebook, guys. And Teal'c says, yeah, there are never usually rules in war. And Mitchell says, this isn't a war. I'm going to continue with the hard truth here. We're not fighting a war. We are being killed, massacred, slaughtered, murdered. We've got a lot of winning bad guys, and that's it. They're here. They've invaded. And they have a super gate and can bring war anytime they want. It's terrible. Sam, though, tries to bring her Sam Sunshine. She's like, remember way back in season 1 when we first met the Goa'uld and how no one thought we could ever defeat them. And look at us now. Think about that. And Mitchell says, we're not giving up. We just need to think of a new, better plan. A damn good one, he says.
End of episode.
And so the whole next episode is just them sitting in a room.
Making plans.
Scrunching up their foreheads and
thinking.
Yeah, making plans. Yeah. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah. Almost as exciting as this
Right.
episode.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Did you like this episode that we are basically calling boring?
I didn't hate it. It wasn't as interesting as I hoped it would be for a season opener, especially after the very dramatic, I feel like, end of the last season. I think it makes sense story-wise because they've had their asses handed to them. They keep having their ass handed to them. They're going to need to regroup and come up with something new. So that all makes sense. It just seemed like a really uninteresting way to start this. If they had done all of this as the end of the last season, I would have been like, oh, okay. Time for Return of the Jedi. We just had The Empire Strikes Back. I don't know. But yeah, so it for what it was, I thought it was pretty unexciting. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I was not a big fan. It was a really weak start to a season. The episode I found to be very tedious and boring. I did have trouble focusing on it because it was just so much conversation. And it wasn't even like conversation that advanced the plot in any way. It was just talking about how the beaming technology is not working, talking about how the hyperdrive's not working. I'm going through all these lines of code one by one. And now we're with Adria and Vala, and Adria's lecturing Vala about Ori and all of these things that we already know. So it just felt like it was a lot of talking just for the sake of filling space. And a lot of it didn't really seem to advance the plot in any way. And it was also a lot of talking in ways that felt like they were trying to build tension, but they were not being successful in that building of tension. Kind of like you were talking about with Sam being so worried about... I mean, it was a lot of back and forth when they were trying to rescue Sam, and the stakes, we just didn't feel it. And it was the same kind of thing in a lot of other situations, too, where, like, normally there's a sense of urgency that the hyperdrive's not working, but just constantly checking in with What's-His-Face and Sam about how the hyperdrives aren't working. And there was not the sense of urgency that I felt like they were trying to accomplish, not just with that rescue scene, but with a lot of these scenes. So I felt like it was just not well written and not well executed and disappointing for the first episode of their last season.
Yeah. Very true.
Also, I really don't like Adria's character at all. And
Fair.
There's
true.
a lot I don't remember about season 10, but the thing I remember the most is about the fact that I really don't like her character. I don't think she's a good villain. I think she's boring and annoying, and... maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe I won't dislike it as much this time around, but I remember not thinking that she was a good villain.
Oh, yay. Yeah. Will Atlantis disappoint us with their season opener?
Not. Season 3, Episode 1, No Man's Land, according to IMDb. Having fallen into the Wraith trap, McKay resigns himself to captivity in a cocoon, but Ronan keeps trying to escape, or at least take some Wraith down with them. Shepard managed to hide his glider on the same hive ship and is surprised to be contacted over the radio by Mitchell, who seeks revenge after the ingrate queen considers him to be too human. The Daedalus and Orion race just in time to engage the hive ships before it literally continues off screen because
what is this
I don't know. I was able to I was able to expand it. This is very bizarre and so much like it looks like all the ones for this season are not all of them, just the first several are apparently like paragraphs long. Anyway, I forget where I left off now. Shepard managed to hide his glider and on the same hive ship and is surprised to be contacted over the radio by Michael, who seeks revenge after the ingrate queen considers him to be too human. The Daedalus and Orion race just in time to engage the two hive ships before they may reach Earth. Weir is summoned to the SGC for a pointless grilling by the International Oversight Advisory. She dismisses them as bureaucrats unable to risk a decision beyond questioning what has already been done. Shepard manages to reach the Daedalus, and his party comes up with a daring plan to overpower the Hive with the weaponized retrovirus, despite heavy damage compromising even their life support systems.
Okay, that's not a teaser. That's describing the whole episode.
That was bizarre.
Also, good job.
Yeah.
Do we leave all of that in?
Sure.
Okay.
That was an oddly long description, and we have not seen. Most of these are 1 or 2 sentences. I don't know why that one was like 5 pages long, but here we are. Meanwhile, over at TVDB, the team desperately attempts to stop 2 Wraith Hive ships from reaching Earth. Shepard must rely on an old foe to rescue McKay and Ronan.
So much better.
So much more succinct.
Succinct, doesn't give things away. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a weird choice over there at IMDb.
Yeah.
That must have been a completely different person writing those descriptions from all the other ones.
So weird.
Same goes for the next 2 episodes, because I can see that episodes 2 and 3 also have crazy long descriptions before we get back to the normal 1 or 2 sentences with episode 4. Very weird.
Great. Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so. How about you?
Thank you so much for listening to Stargazing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargazing.space. Reach us by email, stargazing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargazing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargazing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargazing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Mary.
I'm Kathy.
And you've been listening to Stargazing at the end.
The end.
Back on the Odyssey, stuff is happening. Hang on.